Hi, my name is Bridget Swihart. I am the Instructor Support Specialist, and on behalf of the project team, I want to thank you for your interest in joining our project. So our project is the Mental Health First Aid Collaborative, and we are operated by Mental Health America of Northern Kentucky and Southwest Ohio, which is a mouthful. Essentially, what we're doing is delivering mental health first aid across Ohio. And we've actually been doing so for just about 4 years now, going on just about 4 years. And to date, we have trained a little over 14,000 Ohioans. So very excited to be able to be starting our third round of funding through OMAS, as well as other funders. CareSource and SAMHSA as well have contributed to this project. So again, into those numbers. So we're very grateful to all of those. But I want to share with you some information today about the project and the Memorandum of Agreement, or the MOA, which is essentially our contract, just so you know a little bit about what you are potentially getting yourself into. Not really, it's actually not that bad, but just to kind of give you an idea of what it means to be an instructor under this project, and be able to answer any questions that you might have. You will actually be seeing me again if you do agree to join the project. As my title explains, I am the Instructor Support Specialist. So I do just that. I support the instructors. I'm an instructor myself, adult and youth, and have been for several years now. Certainly not an expert in this, but I do try to help support wherever I can. So you will see me again. Actually, that's one of the first steps once you obtain your certification. If you're receiving your certification through our project and we're funding that, one of your first steps after receiving your funding or your training, your certification, is you and I are going to have a meeting together. We'll have a 1-hour Zoom meeting just to kind of go through all of the ins and outs of the program. If you're already coming to the project certified, we will meet also. And just kind of get you oriented to our processes. But again, today I want to go over with you this contract that we have, and scroll through. I apologize, it's a little bit on the smaller side. It is a web version. You will be receiving a copy of this. Hopefully it's a little more visible, the copy that you receive, but at least you can see this, and hopefully be able to follow along. Just so you're aware then, the contract that you would be signing is effective July 1st of 23 through June 30th of 25. That's our grant funding for this project. And that contract is in place until one or both parties cancel the contract with the 30 days written notice, which is written in here. Both parties are agreeing to essentially deliver mental health first aid and reach those objectives that are laid out by mental health first aid, which again are laid out here, which you can see. When you look at the contract, again, it is a web-based contract. So one of the first questions it's going to ask is, are you signing the contract as an individual or as your organization? And that's really a decision that's based more on your end than on our end, more of a discussion to have with your employer than with us. We are comfortable with you doing either or. Some people who do this, who maybe are doing this on work time, might sign the contract as on behalf of their organization, and their organization is going to get paid because they're delivering the classes on work time. Some people might be doing some of it on work time, and then they say, I also want to teach on the weekends though, or in the evenings. That's great. Sign 2 contracts. You can actually do 2. So you would actually just come in here and hit, fill out the contract 2 times, 1 for each of these. So either or, whichever works best for you. And again, I can always answer questions regarding that as well. You'll have my email, so I can talk through that with you also. Regardless though, however you fill this, whichever one you hit on that, just make sure that it corresponds with who's getting paid. Whose name needs to be on the check? That's what we want to know here. And then where are we mailing the check to? Again, they just need to line up. You can have more than one contract with us. You can have organization X and Joe Smith. It's fine. Just make sure that we both line up. Likewise, of course, we will be asking you to share with us a W-9 that correspond accordingly with either of them, whichever one you choose. The remaining sections here on the contract, just to kind of go through, pretty self-explanatory and straightforward. Email Note, of course, we know that the email that you use and that you want us to correspond with you through may be different than what you use in MHFA Connect. In an ideal world, it's the same one, but we know it may not be for 1,001 different reasons. Just let us know what it is, because there may be cases where we're setting up your classes for you. And if that's the case, we just need to know what your email is in MHFA Connect. So that's what that's in there for. As you're going through here, you may or may not have your certification already. If you do, because you're already certified, go ahead and plug this in. Please note what we're asking for here is the 2.0 version. We're not asking for the pre-2020 versions. If you were certified in those previously, that's wonderful. We're so grateful that you had taken those steps to do that. Right now, what we're asking for though is what do you have in the 2.0 version? We're looking for moving forward the curriculums that you can deliver now, because as we know, we're not really able to use those older, National Council is not wanting us to use those older versions. So again, please only mark on here 2.0 and forward. What are you certified in currently? How many classes have you taught in your career? When are you able to teach? Generally, which ones are you available for? Where do you want the manuals mailed to? We order the manuals under the grants under our funding, and then we're going to mail them to you as the instructor. So you don't have to worry about that. We just need to know what's your address that we're going to mail these to. So again, we don't mail them to the teaching site. We're going to mail them to you. You get to carry them in. Of course, I will say I do have a wagon for that. Just helps a little bit, just a little tidbit. Which county do you reside? Not country, county. What counties or regions are you interested in traveling to? We do reimburse for mileage, just FYI, up to 200 miles, just so you're aware as you're selecting this and filling this in. Again, just something to be mindful of for those in-person classes. And then where do you currently work? Again, that just gives us some idea about, maybe there's particular audiences that you would be best suited for classes that come to the table to us. Like, hey, this person works with older adults. They'd be a great fit for this particular population that we're searching for an instructor for. So please share that with us. That's why we ask that. As you're filling out this section, note that what we're asking for here is what community are you a part of, or what do you serve this community? Note that you can only select one or the other. You either are college age or you serve college age, and it's okay that you can't click both, because you may actually be both, and that's okay. Just know that clicking one or the other is fine. But you can have more than one option on here. You may fit into more than one of these, which is great. Please do click on those. In terms of the remaining parts of the contract, this is what you as the contractor, because you are contracted with us, are agreeing to do. As we go through this, the first one basically just says that you will execute the Mental Health First Aid Program with fidelity and follow through what National Council has outlined for us to deliver as instructors. Makes sense. Number 2 basically just says that you will work closely with the coordinators and the project team on our end, as well as with the host organizations and the learners, and provide that good customer service, that we would expect, right, as learners and as customers of anything. What does that look like for us? What does that look like on our end? What's the expectation there? That within 48 hours of getting an email from somebody, that there's a response time. We do understand that most people that come into this project that are contracted with us have other jobs. That's true, but there is still an expectation that that good customer service is present. It's really what that's speaking to. So number 3 speaks to really this idea of the lead instructor role. What does that look like? We do have a core competency form that outlines the roles, ROLES, if you will, of the lead role, what that looks like, creating courses, enrolling users, providing the emails to the learners to help them with setting up to do their pre-work, marking the attendance, being responsible for forwarding the course invoice that comes in from National Council to our payee department, essentially, if you are a finance department, which is this Lucas Zalesko that you see on here. Verifying that for accuracy, again, there's several other tasks that the lead instructor is responsible for, but that's really what that's speaking to. Number 4 speaks to the task that we are asking contractors to remain actively involved with the collaborative. We have a little over 120 instructors that are under this project. We are asking instructors to be actively involved and engaged. Again, we have reached 14,000 Ohioans in the past, basically 3 years, 3.5 years. And we've done that because of the instructors, because of the hard work and the engagement that the instructors are doing as well. And we want that to continue. One of the things that we do, one of the many things that we do, is hold instructor gatherings quarterly. We ask instructors that we're here. That's part of the contract. The expectation is that you do attend those. They are virtual meetings. They are recorded if you are unable to attend. But of course, there is a kind of a record, I guess, a tracker, if you will, just to make sure to verify that instructors have in fact viewed them. And we do monitor that to make sure before classes are assigned, then that those recordings are being watched. Again, so that we make sure you're getting accurate information, up-to-date information. Things are constantly changing. If you've ever worked with a grant program before, if you've ever worked with a nonprofit organization before, if you ever worked with mental health first aid or National Council before, things are always changing. Any one of those different arenas, things are always changing. That's why we hold these gatherings, because things are always changing. We have to have a way to keep everybody updated and informed. That's why we do it. So we ask people to attend those. We do have an annual summit every year. They've been held at the Columbus Zoo. Actually, they've been kind of fun. We overlook the giraffes in the African area, so they're kind of fun. Again, we do have other meetings and different lunch and learn opportunities we pull in and invite our instructors that are experts in their subject matter to share with other instructors, which has been kind of fun. We do also ask from the instructors that they do use our scheduling board, which is a Trello board. If you've not yet used a Trello board, I will be walking through that with you. It's not horribly complicated. I can walk through it with you. But that's the board that we use to schedule or for instructors to bid on classes, if you will. We do a lot of marketing on our end to bring classes to the table. This is how you bid on them. This is how you get them. And I'll walk through that with you. We also have what's called an instructor support program board. Again, this is another one of the Trello boards. Essentially, it's a repository of resources. So rather than you having to sift through emails from me of resources and different things, I put them all right there. Basically, we're just asking that you keep up with that and just watch it. That's also how I share updates with you. So again, we have that quarterly instructor gathering meeting. But of course, things are forever changing with maybe from National Council or wherever. So I can send out a quick update to people, say, hey, slide 15 on the adult full in person has now changed. Here's the new slide, swap it out, here it is, in case you haven't heard. One of the other roles we're asking, number 5 here, and you're invited as an instructor, is to advocate for mental health first aid when that becomes pertinent, when that comes up. You're able to do this by inviting host organizations to run a class. We have a referral process. There's a form for that. In order to have a class that looks like having 30 people, that's what we refer to as having a hosted class. Again, we invite you to do that. There's actually an extra $100 in it for you when they run the class, so that's kind of nice. There's also, that's one of the ways we have classes. That's one of the ways that classes are generated. We also have the opportunity to just have people come like 1 or 2 at a time, or 5 people at a time. Let's say you don't have 30 people, but you have five people that you think would benefit from taking the class. You can send them to an open class registration form, which again is on our website, ohiomhfa.org. You can send them there. Again, that's a way that you're advocating for mental health first aid and being a part of this program growing throughout the state of Ohio. Number 6 looks at that process when an individual is being trained under this project. So if this may not apply to you if you're already coming to us trained, but if we are paying for you to become trained, here's some of the different processes that will happen. First of all, under 6.1, we're going to ask that you bring to the table one of those hosted organization classes, so that you do bring a class of 30 people. And you will work with our coordinators to get that set up. But essentially, we're looking for, again, from you in exchange, if you will, for the cost of that training. That's roughly around $2,500, that you're going to just bring those people. There's no cost of the class to you, but we're just asking for that hosted referral form. And hosted class from you. We're also asking then that you're going to teach your first 3 classes as a co-instructor at no cost. And again, I kind of will talk through with you what that process will look like. 6.3 kind of references if either of those 2 things don't happen, 6.1 and 6.2, you're not able to you don't do the referral for the hosted class, or you do not fulfill that requirement of teaching those 3 classes at no cost, you will be asked to pay back 25% of the cost of that instructor training, which is right around which is $500. So in exchange for that. Some of the other things on 6.4 is, again, you will meet with me, that's the instructor support specialist. Once you have been certified, I'll meet with you. We'll kind of go over the whole program. And again, the program and the project, the processes that we use in terms of invoicing, etc. And then I will meet with you again before you're ready to start teaching as a lead instructor. Because we do want to help you and support you to not only being the co-instructor, but also then becoming a lead instructor. 6.5, we do also talks about our mentorship program. We also have a mentorship program for new instructors. We have opportunities to help to strengthen knowledge, presentation skills, classroom management, technology management, which is a great program. So for those 3 classes where you're teaching at no cost, you're also getting that support and guidance from an experienced mentor, which is really nice, a really nice program. Number 7 kind of speaks to the mentorship program. Again, there isn't a whole lot for you, as just coming in, but just know that it does exist unless you're an existing instructor. And I will say, we do invite people to become mentors. Typically, kind of one of the baseline requirements, though, is that you do have to have taught as a lead instructor under our project for 15 classes or more. That is one of the admission criteria, if you will. But there is a standard operating procedure form for that. You can certainly take a look at that link if this is something that applies to you. We do have a teen mental health first aid program as well. And what we're asking for, again, for those instructors that are coming in and receiving the training to become a teen mental health first aid instructor, we're asking that you teach the equivalent of 6 sessions at no cost. And those that do not complete that, we are asking for that 25% return in payment, which would be $425. We are asking then as well that you will get that support from the mental health first aid lead instructor and coordinator. That all instructors, this is not just pertaining to teen instructors, but for everybody, for all instructors, that you do agree to turn in your monthly invoice to our bookkeeper by the 5th of every month for all of your classes. And then that you, again, here's this information about, you do have to fill out this contract. You do have to have a contract on file with us. You do have to upload your W-9. There may be times when we have to ask for background checks. We do have certain clients and certain host organizations that want our instructors to have background checks. So that might come up as well. We do also ask for your resume. Again, oftentimes that comes into play because of CEs or CEUs. Organizations are requiring that. So we just said, let's just ask for everybody's resume. It's just easier that way. That way we have it all up front. So that's what you agree to do. What do we agree to do on our end? So this is this long MHFA, as it's sometimes referred to as, this Mental Health America of Northern Kentucky and Southwest Ohio. Couldn't possibly make that any longer. But that's who is operating the Mental Health First Aid Collaborative in Ohio. What do we agree to do? Well, we're providing the services of the project team, which again is part of, that's kind of where I fit into this. We also have several coordinators under this project. And the coordinators do a lot of the marketing. So not only are we inviting instructors to bring classes to the table, the coordinators also go out and do marketing and bring classes to the table. So they're doing that piece as well. They will make that initial contact with the host organizations and do that coordination. And once you fill out the host referral form, they kind of take over then and do a lot of that back end coordination, the dates, the times, et cetera, all of that fun stuff. For the adult classes, our coordinators do as well set up the courses and connect, enroll users, et cetera. So that does happen. They do also make the final decision whether to hold the class or not. We do have number requirements, again, because we are grant funded. We just have to be, we have a fiduciary responsibility to our funders and to the stakeholders, that we can't run a class with 5 people in it. We do have to have a minimum number of people in a class, and there have been times where the hard decisions have had to be made because not enough people are showing up. That ultimate decision does fall on the coordinator as well, which is something to be mindful of. Now 1.2 here, again, one of those other members of the project team is myself, the instructor support specialist. I help with, again, offering that support to instructors in any way that I can. Not only the technical assistance, if you're having questions about curriculum, I also send out debriefing forms after every class, and I review those, what went well in the class, what didn't go well. I take those forms and that information, and that's what I base those quarterly instructor gather meetings on. They really are intended to be useful uses of our time. I know everybody's busy. I know everybody has other jobs. So I try to make them very useful for everybody. They really are kind of speaking to the pain points that universally the instructors are kind of sharing over that 3-month period. And I get them from the debriefing forms. In terms of payment, again, what do we do as from our end in terms of payment? So I'm going to leave this up here. It's a little bit complicated. It's complicated, but I do want to go through each of these. So on 2.1, if you are the lead for a blended virtual or blended in-person class, it's $400 or $200 for co. 2.2, if it's a fully in-person class, so you're looking at more of like an 8 to 8.5 hour day, fully in person, it's $500, $300, lead and co. You do receive, there is a $300 additional payment per class if you are a mentor. Again, I mentioned that mentorship program, and there is some more information. You can certainly read through this. You'll have access to all of this. $600 is available for instructors that are teaching by themselves blended, $700 for instructors teaching solo for fully in-person classes. Again, this doesn't happen very often, though, that we use solo instructors, primarily because we have a lot of instructors on this program, in this project, and we're trying to give everybody ample opportunities to teach. That's really honestly why we don't use this very often, but there are times when it does come up. There's that $100 additional bonus that I mentioned if you refer a class and they run the class. Now, I do want to note that host referral form is just a one-time thing. So let's say you have a class, you have an organization that has 90 people, they need 3 classes, you only get the $100 once. Let's say it's in a school. So again, same thing. If it's in a school and they have, several groups that want to be trained, you're only going to get the $100 one time if they've not ever been in this with us. Okay, sorry about that. I just got a message that it stopped recording, so my apologies for that. Technology just is always fun, isn't it? All All right, so anyways, back to the payment schedule. Yeah, so you only get the $100 per referral, regardless of how many classes they run. And that's only if they actually run the class. They have to actually execute the class. For teen mental health first aid, you do get $100 per session, lasting basically 45 to 60 minutes. So every 1 hour session, essentially, you're getting $100. $200 for sessions lasting 90 to 120 minutes. Mileage, again, is reimbursed up to 200 miles at 55 cents a mile. We really don't do overnight travel expenses. There's been rare instances, but that is only with prior approval. Administrative work following class and before required meetings is not covered. So any of your like markers that you might take to the class, copies that are made, you know, the giant post-it board notes, anything like that, that's not covered. Every other expense though is going to be covered, which is what you see here in number 3. The cost of trainings up to 30%, 30 participants is covered, including that marketing, the outreach, the cost of the manuals. All of that is covered under the grant. So there's no out-of-pocket expense from you as the instructor in that regards. Again, here's our uploads. We need your W-9, we need your resume. You upload them here, put your signature, everything's on here. You hit submit, voila, that's it. So again, I thank you, and you will have my email. You're going to be seeing an email from me as well, again, if you do agree to join this project. And you'll have a copy then of the contract, and I'll go over it with you further. But I hope that this was helpful for you, and do look forward to working with you. Thank you.